Have you ever wondered why some people seem unshakable even when everything around them is falling apart? It's not because they have fewer problems. It's not because life is easier for them. The truth is, strong people aren't born with less chaos. They've simply mastered one thing most of us overlook: how they respond. Because the most powerful force in your life isn't what happens to you, it's how you react to it. We all face challenges. Every day brings new distractions, unexpected setbacks, and people who test your patience. That's just life. But what separates those who rise from those who spiral is emotional mastery. Think about it. How often do we let a single comment ruin our whole day? How often do we replay that one mistake, that one argument, that one disappointment and over again like a broken record in our minds? But what if, instead, you could train your mind to respond with clarity instead of reacting with chaos? What if you could build a version of yourself that doesn't flinch in the face of criticism, that doesn't get pulled into every emotional storm, that doesn't lose hours, days, even years reacting to things that, in the long run, don't even matter? That's what this video is all about. Not just motivation, but mental training. The kind of training that turns noise into silence, that replaces overthinking with awareness, that takes you from being emotionally reactive to being emotionally powerful. Let me ask you this: when was the last time you felt truly in control of your own mind? Not controlled by notifications, not by someone else's opinion, not by fear or doubt or the pressure to please everyone. Just calm, clear, unshaken. That's not a fantasy. That's not reserved for monks on mountaintops. That's a skill and anyone can learn it. The goal of this video is simple. I want to help you train your mind to rise above emotional chaos, to stop being tossed around by what the world throws at you and start becoming someone who moves through life with confidence, calm, and unshakable inner power. Because let's face it, we can't control what happens around us, but we can control what happens within us. And the moment you take ownership of your internal state, your reactions, your emotional triggers, your thoughts, that's when you reclaim your power. That's when people start wondering, how do they stay so calm? How does nothing seem to shake them? And the answer won't be found in trying to control the outside world. The answer will be found in you, in the way you breathe through difficulty, in the way you observe instead of overreact, in the way you pause before letting emotions take the wheel. In this video, I'm going to show you the foundation for that kind of inner strength, step by step, mindset by mindset. Not just theory, but practical tools you can apply every day. Whether you're facing stress at work, tension in relationships, uncertainty about the future, this message is for you. Because once you learn how to master your emotions, everything changes. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop seeking approval. You stop losing sleep over things you can't control. And instead you gain something priceless. You gain peace. You gain power. You gain the calm, centered, confident version of yourself that was always there, just waiting to be awakened. So if you're ready to stop being a prisoner to your emotions and start becoming the master of your mind, stay with me. Because this isn't just motivation. This is mental freedom. Let's begin. Have you ever felt like the world is just loud? Everywhere you turn, there's noise, people's opinions, passive-aggressive comments, criticism that comes out of nowhere. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A co-worker makes a snide remark. A friend forgets to return your call. It's endless. And if we're not careful, that noise starts to own us. We react. We overthink. We snap back. We spiral. And suddenly, we've given away our peace for free. But what if you didn't have to live like that? What if you could walk through the storm without flinching? That's what the nothing bothers me mindset is all about. Not pretending that life doesn't have its chaos, but choosing to detach your emotions from the chaos. Because here's the truth, real strength isn't found in avoiding problems, it's found in how you respond to them. Imagine walking into a room where people are gossiping, complaining, maybe even judging. But you remain calm. You don't take the bait. You don't feel the need to explain, defend, or argue. You just exist confident, grounded, untouchable. And suddenly, you shift the energy in the room without saying a word. That's presence. That's power. That's the quiet confidence that makes people pause and think, what do they know that I don't? Let me give you a simple example. Let's say someone insults you in public. Most people's instinct: fire back, defend yourself, get angry, make sure everyone knows you won't be disrespected. But the strongest response? Silence. a smile, and walking away. Because in that moment, you've taken away the only power they had: your reaction. They were counting on your anger. They were looking for a reaction. And when they didn't get it, they were left powerless. That's dominance without aggression. Strength without noise. I'm not saying it's easy. We're human. We feel things. But emotional mastery isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about choosing how, when, and if you express them. It's learning to pause before you respond. To ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter a week from now? Am I reacting or am I being pulled? Because the truth is, every time you let someone control your emotional state, you hand them the remote to your inner peace. And if you give the world that remote, don't be surprised when your peace is constantly interrupted. So how do you build this mindset? You train it daily, intentionally. Start small. Don't react to the slow driver. Don't let one rude comment ruin your mood. Don't argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, get quiet. Get centered. Let the noise pass like a wave and you stay still like the ocean floor. Because the world will always test your peace. But if you want to be truly powerful, you have to reach the point where nothing disturbs your inner world unless you allow it to. Remember this: calm is not weakness. It's not passive. It's the highest form of strength. And the people who master calm, they don't chase control over the world, they master control over themselves. So today, I challenge you. Let the world be loud. Let them judge. Let the chaos swirl. And you stay calm. You stay focused. You stay free. Because when nothing bothers you, nothing controls you. And that's where real power begins. Let's be honest, life will test you. Not once, not twice, but constantly. Plans will fall apart. People will let you down. Emotions will rise out of nowhere. And in those moments, the difference between someone who thrives and someone who breaks isn't luck, it's emotional discipline. See, the most successful people you admire, they're not unbothered because they never feel anything. They're unbothered because they've trained themselves not to let temporary emotions sabotage long-term goals. They've mastered what I call the pause before the storm, that tiny space between stimulus and response. That 1 second window where you get to decide, do I react emotionally or do I respond with intention? And that 1 second can change everything. Most people skip it. They feel anger and lash out. They feel fear and freeze. They feel doubt and quit. And just like that, they trade their power for a reaction. But if you want to rise, if you want to become unshakable, you need to build the habit of pausing. Let me give you a simple practice. The next time something triggers you, someone says something offensive, a situation doesn't go your way, you feel that fire of frustration, and act right away. Instead, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this worth losing my peace over? Will this matter tomorrow, or am I just caught in the moment? Is this a situation or just a sensation? And more often than not, you'll realize it's not worth it. That single pause becomes armor, a shield between you and the chaos. Over time, this habit rewires your brain. You stop being reactive. You start becoming strategic. You move through challenges with calm, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Now, let me introduce another powerful tool: visualization. This isn't just some new age fluff. Athletes, leaders, Navy SEALs, some of the most mentally tough people in the world do visualization daily. So what is it? It's the simple act of mentally rehearsing who you want to be. You sit in silence, close your eyes, and see yourself walking through pressure without flinching. You picture yourself in a tough conversation, calm, composed, in control. You visualize yourself facing rejection, but instead of collapsing, you stand tall and move forward. When you do this consistently, your brain begins to believe that this version of you already exists. And soon it becomes your default setting. It's like training your emotional muscles. More life puts you in the ring. Let me ask you, who do you want to be when things go wrong? Who do you want to be when someone disappoints you? When the pressure builds, when people doubt you, do you crumble, or do you stay grounded? Because here's the truth, emotions are temporary, but the decisions you make in emotional moments can leave permanent impact. So protect your goals, protect your peace, train yourself to respond, not react. You don't have to be cold, you don't have to be a robot, but you do need to be in control of you, especially when the world isn't. Because when you learn to stay mentally unshaken, you walk through life with quiet power. While others panic, you plan. While others explode, breathe. while others quit to adjust. And the best part? You begin to trust yourself at a deeper level, because you know no matter what happens to you won't be controlled by it. You'll rise through it. So today, practice the pause. Visualize the version of you who doesn't flinch, and step into that identity every single day. Because in a world that constantly tries to pull you in 1,000 directions, the real power is being anchored within yourself. Stay steady, stay grounded, stay unshakable. Let me share something with you that might just shift the way you move through life. You don't need to care about everything. In fact, trying to care about everything is exactly what's draining your energy, stealing your peace, and keeping you stuck. We live in a world that tells us we have to react to everything. Every comment, every piece of news, every judgment. But here's the truth. Caring about everything is a trap. And the people who rise above it, they've discovered a quiet superpower called selective indifference. Now, let's be clear, indifference doesn't mean apathy. It doesn't mean you stop feeling or that nothing matters. It means you learn to prioritize what's actually worth your emotional investment. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. Let me ask you this. When you find yourself upset, overthinking, or replaying a conversation in your head, pause and ask, will this matter 5 years from now? Is this actually worth my energy, my peace, my time? Most of the time the answer is no. The comment on social media, the sideways glance in the meeting, the gossip behind your back, 5 years from now, will any of it matter? Or are you sacrificing your peace over something fleeting? This is the difference between those who crumble under pressure and those who remain grounded. Because here's the secret, strong people aren't unshaken because life is easy, they're unshaken because they've trained themselves to care wisely. They've stopped letting every criticism cut them. They've stopped explaining themselves to people who aren't trying to understand. They've stopped fighting battles that aren't theirs to fight. That kind of clarity, that ability to not react, is what commands respect. Think about the people you admire most. The leaders, the calm ones, the grounded ones. They're not constantly defending themselves. They're not jumping into every argument. They're selective. They protect their energy like it's sacred because it is. And the truth is, the more you grow, the more noise you'll attract. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something different. And different always gets attention. But here's where your power lies. You don't have to respond to every opinion. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Let them wonder. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Your job isn't to be liked by everyone, it's to live in alignment with who you are. Selective indifference is about choosing your battles, choosing your focus, choosing your peace over and over again. And here's a little shift that helped me. Instead of asking, what will they think? Start asking, is this aligned with my values? Instead of, should I say something back? Ask, does this deserve my energy, or is silence the stronger response? Every time you make that choice, you build emotional strength. You begin to reclaim the power you've been giving away on unnecessary reaction at a time. So today, I want you to give yourself permission to not care about things that don't move your life forward. Permission to walk away from pointless arguments. Permission to stay silent when someone tries to provoke you. Permission to choose your peace over proving a point. Because at the end of the day, your peace is your power. Protect it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Let me ask you a simple question. Whose approval are you still waiting for? Your parents? Your boss? That one friend who never really saw you? A stranger on the internet? Most of us, without even realizing it, are chasing validation. We try to dress the right way, speak the right way, achieve the right molestiness just to be seen, to be accepted, to feel like we're enough. But here's the truth no one tells you. The more you seek approval, the more power you give away. And eventually, you stop living for yourself and start living for everyone else's expectations. Let that sink in. Every time you hold back your voice to avoid being judged, every time you shift your goals to fit someone else's comfort zone, every time you silence your truth to be more likable, you shrink a little. And over time, you forget who you were before the world told you who to be. But what if I told you you don't need anyone's permission to be yourself? Because confidence isn't given, it's built. Built from within. Built through small moments of self-trust. Built when you finally say, I'm done living for other people's opinions. Think about the people who truly changed the world. Did they wait for permission? Did they stop to make sure everyone liked them before they spoke up? Absolutely not. They were bold, unapologetic, focused, not because they didn't care but because their vision mattered more than being liked. They understood a powerful truth. You can be the kindest, smartest, most well-intentioned person in the room and still be misunderstood, still be criticized, still not be accepted by everyone. So why waste your energy chasing approval from people who don't even walk your path? I get it, it feels good to be liked. It feels good to be praised. But when your self-worth depends on external applause, you'll always feel empty the moment the clapping stops. True self-respect begins when you realize this. Your value is not up for negotiation. You are worthy not because someone says you are, but because you know you are. And once you claim that truth, you stop needing to be chosen because you've already chosen yourself. So how do you break free from the approval trap? Start by asking yourself, what decisions am I making to impress others? What dreams have I buried because someone else didn't approve? Whose opinion am I letting shape my life? And then let it go. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. Let go of the pressure to meet invisible expectations. Let go of the idea that someone else's approval is the key to your peace. Because it's not. Your peace comes from self-acceptance. Your freedom comes from authenticity. Your strength comes from the quiet decision to honor who you are even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop chasing approval, people start noticing you in a different way. Not because you begged for attention, but because you became unshakably real. And there's nothing more powerful than someone who owns who they are flaws and Alan walks through life with conviction. So today, stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying your path. Stop looking outward for permission to live boldly. Choose you. And keep choosing you even when it's hard. Because when you stop needing validation, you unlock your true voice. And that voice? That's what changes your life and maybe even the world. Let's talk about something. We all face criticism. Whether it's from your boss, a family member, a stranger online. Whether it's whispered behind your back or posted for the world to see. It stings. And if you're not careful, it can start to shape the way you see yourself. But here's what you need to understand. Criticism only has power if you give it power. The most confident, grounded people in the worldies, even them face criticism. Constantly. The difference? They know how to filter it. They don't let every opinion sink into their soul. And that's what I want to help you learn today. First, let's break something down. Not all criticism is created equal. There are two types. Constructive criticism, the kind that helps you grow. It comes from people who know what they're talking about. People who want to see you improve. Destructive criticism, the kind that tears you down. It comes from insecurity, jealousy, or ignorance. It's not about helping you, it's about controlling or belittling you. Here's where the shift happens. You have to learn how to discern the source before absorbing the message. When someone criticizes you, ask yourself, does this person have the experience, the understanding, or the integrity to offer me real feedback? Do they walk the path I'm on, or are they just watching from the sidelines? If the answer is no, don't take it to heart. Because someone who hasn't built what you're building doesn't get to tell you how to build it. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a masterpiece. As he works, people pass by, some admire, some offer tips, others laugh and say, that'll never turn out well. But does he stop working? No. Because he's not carving for the crowd, is carving from a vision they can't yet see. That's how you need to treat criticism. Let the helpful voices in, but let the noise go. And when the hurtful comments come, because they will, don't react emotionally. Don't spiral. Don't over-explain. Don't waste energy proving yourself to someone who's committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is there something useful here I can take and use to grow? If yes, take it with grace. If not, let it go with peace. This level of emotional maturity isn't easy, but it will protect your peace like nothing else. Remember this, you don't need to silence every critic. You just need to make sure their voice isn't louder than your own. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to evolve, to learn, to improve. And sometimes, growth gets messy. Sometimes, it attracts judgment. But that doesn't mean you stop showing up. It means you strengthen your filter. You stay open to truth but closed to toxicity. You stay humble enough to grow but strong enough to know your worth. So next time someone criticizes you, don't let it define you. Let it reveal something instead about them or about you. Let it strengthen your self-awareness. Let it sharpen your character. But never, ever, let it steal your light. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that truly matters is the one you hold of yourself. And when that opinion is rooted in clarity, confidence, and compassion, no amount of criticism can shake you. Let's talk about pressure. Because whether it's a deadline, a crisis, a conversation you're dreading, or a curveball life throws your way, pressure is inevitable. And the people who rise above it, they're not lucky. They're not immune. They're prepared. See, most people wait for things to go smoothly. They hope problems won't show up. They wish the road would stay clear. But the ones who truly grow, they expect a storm. And they train for it. That's the difference. They don't wish for easy, they prepare for real. Let me give you a picture. Think of a seasoned warrior. He doesn't step onto the battlefield hoping the enemy will go easy on him. He knows the fight will be hard. He knows pain is part of the path. But he walks in anyway, calm, alert, focused on it because the situation is calm, but because he is. That's what composure is. It's not the absence of chaos. It's the ability to remain grounded in the middle of it. And you can train that. You really can. Start with this mindset shift. Stop being surprised by difficulty. Start expecting it and planning your response in advance. Pressure becomes overwhelming when you believe it shouldn't be happening. But once you accept that challenges are part of the journey, they lose their power to derail you. When you walk into your day expecting that not everything will go your way, you stop getting thrown off when it doesn't. Now here's where it gets deeper. You don't need to control everything to stay composed. You just need to control yourself. That means slowing your breath when your heart races, choosing clarity over panic, responding with intention instead of reacting with emotion. I'm not saying it's easy, but every time you do it, every time you stay calm when your mind wants to explode or building something powerful inside you, you're becoming the person people look to when things fall apart. Because while others are scrambling, spinning, panicking, you're steady, you're strategic, you're focused. And you know what that creates? Trust, respect, leadership. Let me ask you, what's your typical reaction when pressure hits? Do you freeze? Do you lash out? Do you give up? Or do you take a breath, zoom out, and respond? Because that moment gap between stimulus and response is where your power lives. Let pressure reveal your strength, not your weakness. And here's a little practice that helps. Every time you face a stressful moment, whether big or small, tell yourself, "This is my training." This is not a breakdown, it's a build-up. I'm not being tested to be punished, I'm being tested to grow. And the more you embrace that mindset, the more unshakable you become. Pressure isn't going anywhere, but your reaction to it, that's where the transformation happens. You stop being reactive and start being resilient. You stop letting emotions hijack your focus and start leading yourself with clarity. You become the calm in the storm. And that's what makes you unstoppable. So the next time life tightens around your breath, look pressure in the face and remind yourself, I've trained for this. Because you have. And if you haven't yet, now's the time to start. Let's talk about one of the hardest but most powerful lessons in life. Letting go. Not giving up. Not running away. But finally releasing your grip on something that was never truly in your hands to begin with. See, most of the pain we experience doesn't come from the situation itself, it comes from our attachment to how we thought things should be. We think, that job was supposed to be mine. They weren't supposed to leave. Life wasn't supposed to go this way. And when reality doesn't match our expectations, suffer. But here's the truth. Pain is inevitable. Struggle is part of growth. But suffering is optional. It happens when we cling too tightly to outcomes, to control, to illusions of certainty in an unpredictable world. Let me give you a different way to look at it. Imagine a river. The river doesn't fight the rocks in its path. It doesn't argue with the direction of the flow. It doesn't resist reality. Instead, it adapts. It bends. It finds a new way forward. And in doing so, keeps moving. That's how you need to move through life. Because no matter how hard you try, you can't control everything. You can't force someone to stay. You can't undo the past. You can't predict every curveball life will throw. But what can you control? your response, your energy, your focus, your mindset. Letting go isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's saying, this no longer deserves space in my mind. I choose peace over control. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to hold on to things outside your control. Replay conversations. Obsess over what someone else thinks. Stress over what hasn't even happened yet. That energy, it's not lost. It's just misdirected. Now imagine what happens when you take all that energy and pour it into what you can influence, your goals, your mindset, your healing. Letting go isn't quitting. It's redirecting. It's choosing to invest in what moves you forward, not what holds you back. Here's a question to ask yourself the next time you feel stuck. Is this in my control, or am I trying to change the unchangeable? If the answer is no, breathe, release, and move on. You don't need closure from everyone. You don't need every outcome to go your way. You just need the courage to trust that you'll be okay, even if things don't go as planned. And that's where true freedom begins. When you no longer need the world to bend to your will to feel peace, you start to experience peace in the present moment. That's the power of letting go. So today, I invite you to take inventory. What are you still clinging to? A past relationship? A missed opportunity? A version of life that never showed up? Now ask yourself, is this holding me, or am I the one holding on? Let it go. Not because you're giving up it, because your energy is sacred. And it's time to reclaim it. Remember, you are not the storm. You are the river. Flow forward. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. In a world obsessed with noise, constant opinions, endless content, everyone trying to be hard, silence has become a rare and powerful form of influence. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you paused and let silence do the talking? You see, we've been conditioned to believe that the louder we are, the more control we have. That if we don't speak up instantly, we lose our chance to prove ourselves. But here's the truth. Real power isn't in being the loudest. It's in knowing when to hold back. Silence creates space. It creates tension. And most importantly, it creates presence. Think about a negotiation. The other person lays down their terms and expects you to respond immediately. But you stay quiet. You don't flinch. You don't rush. Suddenly, the power shifts. That pause, it makes them nervous. They second-guess themselves. They fill the silence with more details, maybe even better terms. Why? Because silence makes people uncomfortable. In that discomfort, you gain the upper hand. This isn't manipulation. It's awareness. It's understanding that you don't always need to speak to make a statement. In conflict, silence disarms. In relationships, silence speaks volumes. In leadership, silence commands respect. Let me give you a personal example. Years ago, I was in a high-stakes meeting. Emotions were running high. Everyone was talking over each other, trying to be right, trying to be heard. But one person didn't say a word. They just sat back, arms folded, listening carefully, calm, focused, unmoved. And when they finally did speak, everyone stopped to listen. Why? Because they didn't speak to fill the air, they spoke to shift the room. That's what silence does. It builds anticipation. It gives your words weight. When you speak less, people listen more. Because you're not wasting energy proving yourself. You're not reacting to everything. You're observing. You're calculating. You're staying grounded while others unravel. And that's what makes you powerful. Here's a shift in mindset. Don't speak to impress. Speak to express. And only when it matters. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to win every argument. Sometimes, the strongest response is a pause, a breath, a quiet exit, especially when someone tries to provoke you. They expect you to react or get loud, to get defensive. But when you don't, when you stay still, stay silent, stay composed, they lose control. Because your silence forces them to sit with their own words. And here's the thing, silence also gives you power over yourself. It keeps you from saying something out of anger. It keeps you from oversharing out of insecurity. It teaches you patience, poise, and presence. So if you're the kind of person who feels the need to fill every silence, I challenge you to sit with it instead. Let it stretch. Let it breathe. Let it work for you. Because sometimes, silence says, I don't need to argue, know who I am. I don't need attention, have peace. I don't need to shout to be heard. I'm already felt. In a world where everyone is desperate to be seen and heard, be the one who is unbothered. Be the one who speaks when it matters and holds silence like a sword when it doesn't. Because when you master silence, you don't just gain attention, you gain control. Let's get honest about something we all wrestle with: staying calm when life isn't. Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. Your mind is a battlefield. Every doubt, every fear, every emotion that rises without warning, that's not weakness. That's war. And if you don't train your mind, it will turn against you. The strongest people you know, they weren't born unshakable. They trained for it. They practiced staying centered when it would have been easier to explode. They practiced stillness in the middle of chaos. And over time, that became their power. So here's the question. Are you training your mind or just reacting to life as it comes? If you want to stay calm under pressure, it starts with daily conditioning. Just like your body, your mind needs reps, discipline, resistance. That means creating daily habits that make you mentally tougher bit by bit. Meditation to sharpen your awareness. Exercise to build discipline and emotional release. Reading to feed your perspective and calm your thinking. And most important, keeping promises to yourself, no matter how small. Because every time you say, "I'll get up early," and you actually do it, your mind learns, "I can be trusted." Every time you want to snap, but you pause instead, your mind learns, "I'm in control now." Every time you show up for yourself, you're not just building a routine, you're building resilience. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you're in a meeting, and someone calls you out unfairly. Your heart races. Your ego screams. You want to fire back. But instead you breathe. You observe. You wait. You don't react to respond. And that moment, that's training in action. Because every time you don't let emotions control your next move, you get stronger. Calm doesn't mean emotionless. It doesn't mean being passive. It means having enough awareness to choose your next step with clarity instead of chaos. Here's something I've learned. Most people think calm is something you feel. But actually, calm is something you create. You build it in the morning before the world pulls you in 10 different directions. You build it in how you breathe when things don't go your way. You build it in how you talk to yourself when no one else is around. And the beautiful part? The more you train it, the more natural it becomes. You start showing up differently. You speak with more weight. You walk with more peace. You think with more clarity. While everyone else is rushing, you're steady. While others react, you pause. And while life throws its punches, you don't flinch. That's not luck. That's not genetics. That's training. So ask yourself, what am I doing each day to strengthen my inner calm? Am I just surviving life, or am I conditioning myself to thrive through it? Because calm isn't just a feeling. It's a choice. It's a skill. And it's yours to master if you're willing to train for it. Let me tell you something most people learn too late in life. Silence is strategy. You don't need to tell the world what you're working on. You don't need to post every goal, every move, every breakthrough. In fact, the more private you are, the more powerful you become. Because here's the truth. Strong people don't talk about their next step, they just take it. They let results speak. They let the work show. They don't seek applause, they create impact. Why? Because they understand that noise attracts noise. When you talk too soon, you invite doubt, jealousy, resistance. People will criticize what they don't understand and they'll try to stop what they can't control. But when you move in silence, you rob them of the chance. No one can shoot down a vision they don't see coming. No one can block a plan they don't know exists. That's the power of discretion. That's the edge that silence gives you. Let me ask you this. How many times have you shared a goal only to be met with skepticism? How often have people doubted you simply because they couldn't see what you saw? You don't owe anyone your blueprint. Sometimes, the wisest thing you can do is keep your head down and let them wonder. Let them ask, where have you been? What are you working on? How did you pull that off? And your answer, a quiet smile, maybe a nod. Because your results will say everything that words never could. Silence doesn't mean secrecy out of fear. It's not hiding, it's protecting. Protecting your peace, your vision, your energy. When you share too early, you expose your momentum to interference. But when you build quietly, you keep your focus intact. Think of the people who've made the biggest impact in your life. Were they constantly broadcasting their every move? Or were they quietly building, day after day, while everyone else was watching someone else's highlight reel? The most powerful transformations often happen in private. It's not about being mysterious for attention. It's about being intentional with your energy. And here's something most people forget. You don't need validation to get started. You need discipline to keep going. So here's the challenge for you. The next time you feel the urge to announce your plans, pause. Ask yourself, do I want to impress people or do I want to build something real? Am I feeding my ego or protecting my mission? Let your silence build anticipation. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it buy you time to grow without interference. Because when no one knows what you're doing, you move freely. You pivot quietly. You fail privately. You adjust strategically. And when it's finally time to reveal what you've been working on, you won't need to explain a thing. The results will speak. And the silence that once protected you becomes the echo of your strength. So move with grace. Move with purpose, and above all, move in silence. Let me leave you with something simple but life-changing. You can't control the world, but you can always control how you respond to it. And in that truth lies your greatest power. Life will never stop testing you. People will say things. Circumstances will shift. Plans will fall apart. Emotions will rise. But if you can remain calm, if you can pause instead of react, if you can stay grounded while everything around you feels uncertain, you win. Because control doesn't start with the world. It starts with you. The person who masters their emotions doesn't need to control others. They don't chase validation. They don't waste time trying to fix everything outside themselves. They lead from within. Think about it. The most powerful people aren't the ones who talk the loudest. They're the ones who don't flinch when things go wrong. They carry a presence that can't be shaken. Why? Because they've trained their minds like warriors. Daily, intentionally, quietly. They've learned that true peace isn't found in avoiding chaos. It's found in choosing your response to it. They don't seek recognition to prove their worth. They already know who they are. And that knowing, that inner confidence, makes them magnetic. So let me ask you, who are you when no one's watching? What choices are you making in silence that will shape who you become? Because this journey isn't about being perfect. It's not about being emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable, calm, strategic, centered. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You trained for this. And the more you commit to that training day by day, moment by moment, more untouchable you become. So let them talk. Let life test you. Let the world be loud. You stay still. You stay focused. You stay powerful. Because once you master your mind, no one else can master you. You become the kind of person who can't be manipulated by opinions, who doesn't panic under pressure, who moves in silence, and leads with presence. That's the real flex. Not being seen, but being centered. Not needing applause piece, you have alignment. So keep training your mind. Sharpen your awareness. Strengthen your emotional discipline. Think like a warrior. Feel like a sage. Live like a leader. This is how you rise. Not loudly, but unshakably.